3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Queen Stage. We're here to spotlight the athletes, stories, and action in women's cycling, giving the sport the attention it deserves. And we're going to do so with the quality, depth, and personality the sport demands.
I'm Rosael Torres Davis.
I'm Betsy Welch. I'm Anne-Marije Rook.
And I'm Molly Herford.
Welcome back to Queen Stage. The yellow jersey has just been awarded, the dust has settled on Coldest, and we are finally catching our breath. I'm Anne-Marije, and today it's full house with us here at Queen Stage. We have all four of us here to unpack the 2026 Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift.
And what a tour it was. We saw some of the most calculated high-level racing in the history of the women's peloton. From Demi's defensive masterclass to the sheer power output required just to survive in the bunch and the heat this year, the standard has officially been raised.
But it wasn't all just watts and strategy. It was pure, unadulterated drama. We had rivalries flaring up, Heartbreak for the big name DNFs, and Kasia Niewiadoma-Phinney proving she's one of the best climbers around. I'm still recovering from it all.
I think we all are. Today's our grand recap and reflections episode. We are digging into the pure chaos of all the 9 stages, the tactics on Mont Ventoux, the wild battle between Vollering and Niewiadoma-Phinney, and answering all the questions that were sent in.
Yes, and remember, we are still so happy to be working with our sponsors, Bike Tires Direct and SRAM, and you can still save 10% at biketiresdirect.com using code QUEENSTAGE, which also directly supports the show. And you know what? Our Queen Stage WhatsApp community is still chatting. So if you missed out on the last 9 stages, definitely head over there. If you're feeling that FOMO, that hangover, that just missing it, head over there and keep talking about us. All right, should we get started? Let's open up with like a big picture recap of the 9 stages. We are going to do this. You could practically put the Benny Hill theme song behind it. We are going to do it so fast. Rook, kick us off with the first stages.
Sure thing. Stages 1 and 2, Lorena Wiebes from SD Works Pro Time started the tour with a bang, as expected, scoring back-to-back dominant sprint wins in Lausanne and Geneva. The Dutch star lost the yellow jersey when Norwegian champion Sigrid Haugset from Uno X Mobility stunned the field. She pulled off a massive 50-plus mile, or 85K, solo breakaway to take the win.
That was exciting.
Yes, and although we loved seeing Sigrid in yellow on stage 4, the jersey was passed to a new owner. Movistar's Marlen Reusser showed exactly why she's the time trial world champion, grabbing the win in Dijon and taking the overall lead, just 14 seconds ahead of Demi Vollering. And in stage 5, Reusser managed to hold on to her overall lead during a just extraordinarily thrilling 3-way sprint against top rivals Demi Vollering and Kasia Niewiadoma-Phinney. Vollering ultimately snagged the stage win.
And I mean, that was honestly one of the coolest sprints of the entire race. But that had us into the more climbing anyway. In stage 6, another hilly day, 8-rider breakaway. Finally, we saw Kim Lecourt-Pinard. She took the sprint finish, which was especially impressive because she also had to fight her way back to the group. We thought she was dropped. We thought she was gone. She had a mechanical. She swapped bikes and still managed to take the win. But let's be honest, we were all waiting for stage 7, the climb up Mont Ventoux. And I mean, heartbreak for riders like Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, who we saw go out the back, but my gosh, the story of the day of the tour. Kasia Niewiadoma-Phinney's solo attack with 10 kilometers to go, taking the win with over a minute over Demi Vollering and Alyssa Longo-Borghini, while Marlen Reusser fell back just behind her. What a day.
Yeah, and then came stage 8, where things heated up when Vollering launched an attack on a short, steep climb with less than 4 miles, 6 kilometers left. She dropped Niewiadoma-Phinney and Italian champion Alyssa Longo-Borghini right near the top of the hill. Vollering started the downhill with a slim 3-second lead, stretched it into 17 seconds by the finish line, and stole back the yellow jersey just in time for the final day. Then on stage 9, for the grand finale in Nice, Vollering used the final steep sections of Col d'Es to shake off Niewiadoma-Phinney once and for all. She completely shut down all of her rivals' attacks before delivering the knockout blow, riding solo for the last 9 miles or 15 kilometers to win the stage by over a minute and claim the ultimate overall victory. And we saw Kasia in second place overall and Longoborghini, who took third place for Marlen Reusser in the overall.
Whew,
So now that we recounted all that so quickly, how does it feel?
there's so much that went on in this tour, so much emotion. Like from day one, I felt like I don't know, maybe it's just because we were talking about it every day, but I feel like this is the tour I felt most connected to out of any of the past iterations.
I feel the same, Molly, and I was trying to figure out why, like even more so than last year, you know, our inaugural year with the podcast. So I was watching, but this year did feel different. And I have to say, it's measurably more fun and engaging the more people who are engaged. And so maybe that was it, like maybe more people in my midst, in my feed, etc., were engaged.
Yeah, my entire feed was Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. Like it's like everyone was there, everyone's talking about it.
Yeah.
Like I went on a group ride and everyone was asking questions and talking about it. It was like everyone was tuning in, and seeing the numbers now of the viewership that are trickling in, and it was impressive. Like I think they amassed 51% of the men's viewership in just 9 days.
Wow.
Yeah. That's
yeah,
great to hear.
We'll talk more about that in a bit. Something that I feel like we didn't touch on the last episode, because there's just each stage, there was just so much to cover. But Marlen Reusser's Heartbreak in stage 9, because it was after we had finished recording that we saw the footage of her, you know, being embraced by her teammates and shedding some tears there. So any thoughts on that? I mean, I'm so proud that she finished, because it would have been so easy to just abandon.
I think she's just holding on hope, you know, every second still mattered, even for that third place position. And it would have been a worthy podium finisher for sure. And there's just something about Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift curse for Marlen. There's always something every year.
Well, I was going to say, does this make us regard her differently going into next year? Is she now not like some dark horse GC contender? She is a contender?
I think what's weird is that she always has theoretically been a contender, but then just never gets listed as one. So, yeah, I do wonder if, maybe it'll change the narrative around her, because on paper, like if you run the numbers, she's always been a contender. But now maybe we'll talk about her more. Maybe?
Yeah, but I wouldn't say it was a bad tour for her or Movistar. I think they ended up looking really good and really together, and showing that they have what it got.
What was interesting on the Mont Ventoux stage, she talked afterwards in a lot of interviews about how she probably lost it due to tactics. Like the kind of tactics that was happening between her and Vollering, and their, you know, kind of being cagey and watching each other, and lost a lot of energy by just responding to each other's attacks. Do you think she would have had the legs to compete with Kasia if they hadn't played such a cagey game?
Would have been cool to see her try. I mean,
do their climbing styles, do they match?
I think so.
I'm not sure. That's why I think that Kasia is a lot punchier and could put moves. It depends on the climb too, but I think Kasia could drop her.
Because like on that next stage 8, which credit to you, Molly, it turned out to be far more engaging than I expected. But my question there is also whether the length really mattered, or if it was that finishing circuit. Because that was so punchy, and that was perfect for Demi Vollering, who's more of a punchy rider. But like a Reusser, I think was pretty clear that she just wasn't going to be able to go with her on that last climb. And so the question is, if they even hadn't played that cagey game, would she have been able to climb with Kasia? But Kasia seemed to be on another level on Ventoux.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that just gets into some weird like numbers game tactics, I think, of like, oh, well, if Marlen could have been even 30 seconds back behind her. We're just getting into like the math of it. Although I think in my game of quantum physics, I'm like, which thing would you have liked to see play out? Like if we could just go watch like a video of like it playing out in a different world kind of thing. Like would Marlen trying to go with her be your pick? My pick might be like, what would happen if Kasia hadn't been on Celia Jarry's wheel, or they hadn't been next to each other at the end of stage 8 there? What would have happened? Dun, dun,
I
dun.
don't know. I think, I mean, that one has been talked over a million times, but I think that Demi was by far the strongest one on that attack. Plain and simple. Like,
but anyway,
without Lamborghini, she wouldn't even have been there.
I want to go back to Movistar because then we can go into the next talking point.
I knew that was how you were going to segue. Yes.
Because maybe does Marlen Reusser need a teammate that can be in with her for those to pace her in those moments that she may get dropped, or just to have more numbers of Movistar in elite breakaway.
¿Y quién será? Who will it be?
Oh.
Gosh. But if she got such a teammate, could it be possible that teammate would also want to go for the GC win? Because she will have aged out of the under 24 jersey, unless they decide next year they're going to be like, you know what? We're going to go with the men's one, how it's U25. We're just going to...
Yeah. Also, unlike Reusser, this one already has a Grand Tour win.
Or have we buried the lead enough? Have we...
I didn't realize that we haven't even said her name. So we're talking about Paula Blasi, who is... right, she's gonna take a 1 million contract with Movistar. Is that confirmed?
Rumored.
Rook? It's rumored. Okay, but if that were to happen, I think I don't know. Maybe it could give them more freedom. Let's talk more about Blasi because I guess I'm just confused. We didn't see enough information, but my theory is that she held back during this tour. And it's fine to do that out of respect of your team leader who was doing well and ended up in 3rd place, right? But it just makes me wonder if you had she had been able to unleash or just be the leader just by performance results, like if we could have seen something different there. Thoughts?
It's just so much drama shrouding that entire team from day one. Like that was one of the biggest talking points throughout the tour. Like what's happening with Blasi? Who's the team leader? They've got 3 in the top 10. What are they doing? They had a kind of the opposite problem from Visma Lease Bike in that they had too many riders in the top 10 and they couldn't really get their ducks in a row as to who they were racing for or how they were going to do that.
Well, that's a good point. Like, is that actually a bad thing that they were so dominant in the team competition that it actually hurt them in the overall when it comes to like actually getting those top places? Because Paula Blasi did not get the white jersey. Alyssa Longoborghini did not get the yellow jersey.
And Vlodarczyk didn't get her uphill stage win. So
wait, did any of them have stage wins? No, I'm
negative.
No.
Yeah, like I would have liked to see at least a stage win. I think they could have released like Paula Blasi for one stage to see what she could do at this level.
I think they should have let her go in that final climb up Col d'Ez, like when she was it the second to last? She started to go and they definitely told her to come back. And I would have loved if they had just just go for it.
Yeah.
But at that point, in general, like Elisa Longoborghini, her placing wasn't going to be affected by Blasi's efforts. So yeah, they could have just let her do it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like she rode a little bit too respectfully. I know it's always going to be complex and difficult, but I think it is possible to manage a 2-leader dynamic. Because wouldn't have been also a very beautiful result to have a podium where maybe Paula Blasi wins the tour and Elisa Longoborghini is still 3rd place? Or I don't know. I guess we'll never know until she actually goes for it.
I wonder if Blasi is just like frothing right now, so full of sort of ungiven energy.
I don't know. I mean, she was really gracious in the interviews, at least, where she was like, I am new to this. Like, she's coming from triathlon. She hasn't done a whole lot of stage racing. Does she have the potential? Yeah, we saw that already. But she's also very much like an untested and an unknown quantity, and that like there's a lot that goes into stage racing that is beyond just pure power, right? There's like tactics and teamwork, and so maybe she was genuinely there to learn, as she was saying in the interviews.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, and wouldn't it have been cool to see her go? Like for her to have had that opportunity.
Stage win. Yeah.
I mean, she is pretty used to, again, like not just time trialing, but like the no draft. Like she basically, when you're in triathlon, you're just attacking the entire ride. So I feel like she actually is one of those people I would trust in a solo breakaway for sure. Okay, here's my question. Is Marlen Reusser happy about the Movistar news? Like if she does join, because two things. One being, I think there goes Marlen's Grand Tour aspirations, because I don't think you sign $1 million rider to ride
for domestic
to help out.
Yeah.
And second, are you pissed about the $1 million? I'd be a little like, how hard would it be to have a teammate that you know is probably like, how much more is that than what anyone on the team's making?
She's not even a doctor.
Yeah, where's the advanced degree?
Yeah. I guess if we have
the fact that we're even having this conversation
anything
is really good. I mean, listen to this. Like, we are talking about women's cycling here. And
and also that's why you need a good agent also in women's cycling, because you have somebody who will have all these difficult conversations with you. Because it also, if let's say Blasi comes in as a clear leader, she can still ask for a pay bump and says, if you want me to be like leader number 2 and be like a super domestique for her, then I want this much more or whatever it is. Otherwise, I'll go to this other team that needs a GC leader. But
True. But Molly, I think definitely your first point is what is at play here, and why she was just gearing so hard for this year's tour is because she knows like her role as GC leader is being threatened at the moment. And not necessarily in a bad way. It's just a new generation coming in. And she's seen this before, right? And she was at SD Works with all of the people, with Anne van der Breggen, with Demi Vollering and Lotte Kopecky. And like she's been in this role where she's number 3 or 4. She doesn't know which opportunities will come her way. And I think, with Blasi going to Movistar, that's a threat for her and her opportunities.
100%.
Well,
other team shifting, should we talk about, like, do we think Kasia is going to leave Canyon SRAM? Like, will Lidl-Trek finally get that GC rider that they've been missing this whole year?
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Lidl-Trek, they were always there being active, and they just weren't able to turn it around. We didn't see them get any wins or any, not even a most combative award. Oh, that's not true.
They did
Isabella Holmgren at the last day. But they have Holmgren, which is an interesting talent who could be developed into a GC rider, I think. But yeah, it'd be nice to have the GC potential spread out. Of course, then what does that leave Canyon SRAM?
Yeah. What kind of riders do you think Lidl-Trek needs right now?
I mean, a GC rider.
A GC rider, right? But then if they have, let's say Kasia goes there and she goes as a GC rider, will she have enough support to defend a yellow jersey? So we have Isabella Holmgren, and who else?
Yeah. They have a team of supporters. That's the problem right now. They have a lot of great, they have a great road captain in Lucinda Brandt. They've got, climbing potential in Holmgren. They've got a lot of great, strong supporting riders. They just don't have that star, and that's what they're needing at the moment.
Okay, so maybe they
Los Adegui, Strana Marcus, they actually really animated the tour this year, but just notice that we never mentioned any of them in our super short recap we did there, because they never managed to get the ball over the line, or whatever the football analogy. I don't know why I tried that. Sorry, guys.
Don't.
It would be so weird to see her in Lidl-Trek colors. Like, I know riders switch teams all the time, but going from that team to that team, just vibes wise, it'd be a shift.
Maybe this will give them an excuse to revamp their design, because I think I love the color block design right now that goes really nicely with the Lidl-Trek colors, the supermarket chain colors. But I think I'm done with it, and I need something fresher.
I think Lidl probably has that lockdown where they just can't do anything interesting.
They can't change it. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but maybe I know, but it could be something different where maybe the background color is just a brighter color and it's more accents of the.
That's why they had to have fun bikes, because the
Yeah, true.
And they are really fun bikes. But speaking of GC riders, will Elisa Longo-Borghini ever win the Tour?
Sorry, Alyssa. I really like you. I really want you to win the Tour, but do I think you're going to? No. I hope I'm
think
proven
so
wrong.
either.
I agree. I was happy to see her on the podium. I mean, that felt quite significant this year.
Mhm.
And she's won the Giro Donne twice, right? She has Grand Tour potential. She certainly can climb with the best because the Giro is super, super climby.
Mhm.
And she's so hungry for the win, you know? She's so aggressive. She's always attacking and, often falls a little short. Or I think in this Tour, it just felt a little too late. Like maybe she was racing herself into into fitness, into that next little level that she needed, because the last two stages, suddenly it's like, whoa, Elisa Longo-Borghini, like she's here and she's here to play, but that was a little too late at that stage.
Said, like, now I'm going, okay, why was I so quick to say no? She has won the Giro a few times. She's many-time, Italian national. She like has an incredible palmares. Molly, why were we so quick to say no? What is so different about the Tour de France Femmes? Like, is it the race? I don't know why now I'm like, shoot, that wasn't fair. But I'm feeling in my gut that it's something about the Tour de France, the race, and Elisa.
I will have to look back at the editions that she has won. I don't think she has won one where all the top GC riders are there, like we saw this time around.
I was going to be like, oh, and she is like, I was going to say she's a 1987 baby, but she is not. She's actually only 34. Yeah, 91. Only.
Like my little brother who sometimes listens to this podcast.
Oh.
Hi.
Well, speaking of younger folks, should we talk about some of these young stars and which ones we think might have GC potential as soon as, I'd say, next year?
Absolutely. Because like the podium was dominated by the riders that we expected to see. And it was also very, very clear that the next generation is just right there waiting in the wings. Like, obviously, Blasi, Niedermaier. I mean, she put on a great ride, not only to help her teammate, Kasia Niewiadoma-Phinney, but also to defend and keep the white jersey for a long stretch there in the Tour.
I have to shout out Canyon SRAM because she was signed to their development team, the Canyon SRAM generation, back in 2022. And, you don't see most of those women, or you don't always see them then come to the World Tour. But Niedermaier, like, her ascent has just been incredible. And I was so impressed by her this year. She was definitely one of my breakout stars of the Tour.
Yeah. I do love Bella Holmgren, but I don't want to put too much on her shoulders yet, right? Like, Paula Blasi is 24. So, like, I think we can safely say, like, she's a GC, she will literally be a GC contender next year. But Bella's only 21. And I feel like I worry that, and honestly, I said this in the men's Tour de France as well. This is not just like a young women thing. I said it about Paul Sextus. I'll say it about any rider that's like under 23. I do worry about when they have so many predictions about them on their shoulders, what that does to their psyche, what that does to the expectations around them, all of that. So while I have high hopes for down the road, I actually don't want to see her in like in the GC leadership position for a few more years, to be honest, because I think she could have like a 20-year career if developed really like smartly.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that's a very smart approach. And yeah, it'd be a shame to see someone that young burn out, but also because she has been doing this for so long. She may be already 21, but she's been racing bikes for her entire life.
Yes. That said, on the note of young riders, I want to see Nienke Vinke in the yellow jersey, only so I can keep talking about it and saying her name hundreds of times. So keep up the good work.
Yeah, no, but her results prove that she has potential. We just have to see. She's also a young rider. We just have to give them time and see how they develop. And thankfully, they have some of the best mentors who are their teammates. So,
yeah, the rider we didn't see a lot about this year that I've been kind of watching is Marion Bunel at this Melissa bike. Can climb really well, did well this year too, and the other Grand Tours. And so I was hoping to see more of her, but maybe we'll get a chance to see her do what she can do without putting front row present sometime.
Cool. When we talk about teams that lost the Tour, I think Visma Lease really lost the Tour.
Yeah. They did.
Youch.
And especially with Voss not finishing on the final stage too, it was just like, oof, they're going home completely empty-handed. And what a
not even a combative rider. One podium, I think, is all they got
in the TT.
Yeah.
The other question that's been coming up a lot in the last few days since the Tour ended is the question about how hard this course was and whether or not the Tour was too hard this year, which led to a competition of just 2 to 3 riders. There's been a lot of pressure on the organizers to grow the Tour. They're saying, let's build this smartly, let's sustainably, like one stage at a time. This year, some people criticized that it was just too hard. Mont Ventoux was too big of a stage. Then the longest stage right afterwards, like it was always going to play out this way, is what the critics are saying. And I'm curious to hear your take on this year's course and whether it was too hard.
Ooh, here's my hot take. Bite me on Ventoux being too hard, but I actually think, like, seriously, come on. Like, ridiculous. We need those iconic stages. But I think the first 2 stages were actually not flat enough. I think it was 1,700 meters and 1,800 meters of climbing in the first 2 days. There was no day that was, I think, under 1,500 other than the TT stage. So you had riders that hit Ventoux exhausted because every day before that had arguably been a climbing stage. And like I said the other day, I think 9 stages deserves a rest day somewhere in there, because if you're going to have 9 stages that are all that hard, it's not that any one stage is too hard. It's just the cumulative effect of racing them all out.
Yeah. And I feel like what you're saying is like, it's not like, oh, it was too hard, they can't do it. It's like it was a poor choice. It was a poor route choice, a poor stage design choice.
I mean, that's the question. It's not 9 days or whatever. It's the question is the route design. Was it too hard this year to where it led to only the top of the top being able to compete?
I would say that, well, we will have to look harder at those numbers, and it is possible. Maybe this is something we can do for another episode, but some numbers that we did crunch was we just wanted to take a look at the DNF rate, like the did not finish rate versus like the amount of starters and finishers per year of the last 5 editions of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift, because a lot of people felt really confident in the comment section saying that they saw more abandons than ever, when actually you can go online and confirm that information. Though it's not easy, because I have to call out Pro Cycling Stats, because when you now go to the start list of each tour, the start list is giving you the number of finishers. So you cannot use a start list to compare. You have to look at stage 1 and the last stage of each tour.
I mean, that's the benefit of being present, right? You get to communicate every day, and you can crunch the numbers that way and see how many DNFs were each day.
Yeah, so I just make some notes and then crunch them out. And basically, in 2022, 144 people started, 109 finished. That means that 35 didn't finish. That's 24% DNF rate. In 2023, 154 started, 123 finished. So 31 DNFs, it's a 20% DNF rate. In 2024, 153, 110, 43. That's the year that we've seen the most did not finish. That was the Alpe d'Huez year, and that's a 28% DNF rate. In 2025, we had 154, 124, 30 DNFs, that's 19%. In 2026, 147 starter, 115 finishers, 32 did not finish, so a 21, or we can round that up to 22% rate of not finishers. But that doesn't seem too crazy to me.
No, and I think so much of it came down to, like, there weren't even any huge crashes. Like it was actually like no, as far as I know, no significant like broken bones, or that there wasn't a lot of crashing, despite the first stage being a little tense. The last stage I thought was hard enough to where after 9 days of racing, if it looked like you weren't going to make the cut on the last climb, you were just going to pull out. So I think if the last stage had been differently, I think even the number would have been higher, because we talked about this on stage 8. We were talking about how few DNFs there have been, and then we saw the number go up significantly on the last stage. So much of DNFs comes down to course design and circumstances, and I don't think it was attrition alone this year.
Yeah, but also we should underline how incredibly difficult it is to design a stage race, and because in theory you can make plans for this is going to be a sprinter stage, this is going to be this is going to be that. You don't know right away what the quality of the peloton is going to be, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm just saying, like, credit to the people who design these courses. They try their best to make them well-rounded, but there's always going to be some additions that are going to favor sprinters and more than, the GC is always going to be favored, but then the remaining stages are not always going to favor sprinters and the type.
Well, and we never talked about time cuts, right? And the time cuts on a stage like the last stage it's tough to meet, and Ventoux too. When you've got the leader so far up on the road, to even meet the time cut, and how many people actually did that and met that on Ventoux on a hot day, on a hard day. That's actually, if anything, that's encouraging that so many people finished that stage.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and surprising too, right? Lorena Wiebes was actually quite high up, so it was cool to see sprinters kind of figuring out how to make that happen. Although I am actually like kind of looking forward to the day in women's cycling, and I think we are moving towards it where riders can be more pure something instead of having to be more like all-arounders. And I think we are leaning that way now. I think we talked about that in one of the early stages, and I think that's very cool.
I don't think it was too hard. I think it was too hot, but obviously we have no control over that. But
to a point though, some of the stages started like in the middle of the day.
Yeah,
can we choose a cooler end of the day? Why not start earlier or later? Like some of those, I'm like, why are we rolling out and racing in the middle of the hottest part of the day?
Yeah, excellent point. And the men's race, they did shorten a couple stages, so I'm sort of surprised that we didn't see any nods to the heat in the women's, honestly.
Yeah. Okay, what should we take on next?
I guess since we're talking about it, like ranking this tour compared to others, which I find really hard to do because, we're in it. And so it's the most, to me, it's the most exciting. But I think it is cool to try and reflect at least on like, okay, was it more exciting, or are we just more excited every year? Again, like, is it like I was saying, there was more hype? There's more hype every year. Yeah, I've only been to one of these, and that was the most exciting for that reason. But yeah, what do you guys think? Again, maybe this is too hard to answer because
well, I would say I would judge it by which one did I enjoy the most, and my mind goes to eye candy, and I think the most beautiful tours to me have been this one, and maybe the 2023 tour because it had those finishes that were up in the fog, right? And that just made it really beautiful. But that's going to be my metric because it is impossible to say. I thought this one was beautiful because it had a lot of water and beautiful mountain views that I hadn't seen before.
For me, it comes down to how tight the race is. And so 2024, obviously on Alpe d'Huez, that was such an incredible race. And then this year, going into the final stage with an 8-second difference, you can't ask for more excitement than that. Like I think that's what's so incredibly beautiful about women's racing is that you don't know who's going to win as opposed to the men's race, which is done. I think this year it was done 6 stages in, and I was like, well, I can stop paying attention now because the gap was so big. So when it comes to when people criticize the tour for being too hard, the women's tour for being too hard, I'm like, what about the men's? There's only one winner in that race. And so here we had 4 women still competing for the podium. And so, for me, this one ranks right up there with the Alpe d'Huez finish.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, last year, I think I loved the superhuman Pauline Ferrand-Prévot effort. That one was on the Col du Madeleine where she got she got into the yellow jersey. Like that one was, again, just beautiful. There were a couple really fun sprint finishes last year. This year, we talked about it yesterday. I sincerely think that while we all find writing about the drama to be like kind of cringy and one of the harder things to do as cycling journalists, we're like, oh, I don't want to talk about this. But I think the drama is good for the sport. I think it's good for growing fandom. I think it brought a lot of new people in. Like when my uncle, who could give a crap about cycling, is texting me multiple headlines about the women's race. And yes, most of them had bra in the title.
I was just going to say, I hope it wasn't the bra.
It was definitely the bra. Obviously, it was the bra. What else is Fox News covering? He's not listening to this podcast. I can say that. But I think he also sent me, I think, like the public urination one, which is a topic we definitely need to get into because we did not do it justice yet. But yeah,
I regret writing that story and bringing it to the forefront, I will say.
Do you?
Yeah, well, not obviously for the numbers and
like, my boss
it did well for us, but how many, like no one was covering it. And then I jumped on it and I was like, oh.
But you mean the story about FDJ getting fined?
Yeah, which is, It was just a little note in the communique. And I was like, okay, because it's a question we get all the time. We get the question, how do riders go to the bathroom? How do they address nature breaks? Like on the men's and women's, and the men's obviously had their bottle gate issue, like another Grand Tour, another P gate. Like this keeps happening and people want to know.
Yeah,
people want to know how you do what you need to do. And so we hadn't done that yet with the women's tour this year. And then I saw that and I was like, boom, explain how P breaks or nature breaks work while also addressing the fact that FCJ got fined. And I did not expect it to go where it did.
Yeah, but I would say it's still good to write the story. Maybe we should reframe this and turn this question to the UCI. Like, what can the UCI do to modernize the rules to accommodate for basic human needs? Like when you're wearing...
That's what I pointed out is like they have very clear rules about what they don't want to see and what you will get fined. But there's no guidelines on how do you do it appropriately? How do you avoid fines? So there's that was my whole point. It's like, you tell riders, don't get naked in front of people, don't pee in someone's front yard. All very reasonable question or asks, but there's no guidance on like, here's how you use the bathroom. Or there's no, how there's like feed zones or bottle or littering zones.
Yeah.
There's no
pee zones.
So maybe we need to build that in. I don't know.
Yeah,
genuinely,
exactly.
How are there no porta potty? Like, how did I not see a single porta potty the entire race coverage? And I mean that honestly, because you also think about all of the fans, all of the staff, everyone out there. Look, I like peeing in the woods as much as the next person, but like when you actually factor, it's not just the peloton that's peeing outside. Then it is literally thousands of people peeing outside during the tour because there are not really any porta potties or any stuff in place. Maybe I assume they're at the finish line and the start line, but like at the feed zones, you never see them when the videos go by. So I think we need we need pee zones that are actually like porta potties and make it so you can do that. Like,
okay.
That's an actual question I received from a fan. Like, hey, we're thinking about going next year. We'll rent a van. Where do I go to the bathroom? And I was like, I have no idea. Other than gas stations along the way, I actually don't know what all these fans on Ventoux, where do they go?
Not just where do riders pee, but where does anyone pee during the Tour de France?
As someone who needs to pee a lot, that would genuinely stress me out if I was going.
Yeah, but maybe this is an idea to make some merch, some shirt to say please at pee zones or whatever Molly's phrase was saying.
The merch opportunities, as we've already discussed, are endless here, and someone needs to take advantage.
Yeah. So should we take any of these other points, or should we jump into the questions from the WhatsApp?
I'd say let's answer some questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of our questions from our WhatsApp community that we didn't get around to answering, and we're going to have to answer in depth later as well, but we can briefly overview here, are around the broadcasting, the viewership, and really kind of the economics of women's cycling as a whole, right? Like rider salaries, where the money is coming from, all that kind of stuff. So the first one is really about just how the broadcast viewership works, because I can't tell you how many times in the WhatsApp we would get the question of like, well, if they're filming the whole stage, why don't we have access to the whole stage? And like, why isn't NBC showing the whole stage? Why isn't Flow showing the whole stage? And just kind of the high level reality of that is Flow and NBC and any of the sites that are showing it can only show what they're getting from the race, and they are not getting the full stage. It's not like everyone just has the whole thing going in front of them on a computer and are like, and we're gonna start it just about now. They only have so much tape and they are running all of it. So it's a much like broader problem, not just like a Flow Bikes or NBC. Although, as we said before, telling Flow Bikes and NBC that you want the whole stage still is very important.
Yeah. So basically the UCI has a rule. It says you have to have 2.5 hours of coverage for the Women's World Tour Racing. So the ASO has the budget for that. So they're only going to do the 2.5 hours. That's what they have budgeted for. They hand that over to the broadcasters. The broadcasters then choose how much of that they want to cover. And I only mentioned that because I think it was one of the stages NBC started later, and because that was their choice in that case.
So like later by like a few minutes, not by like
nothing
huge
hours. Yeah. Marion Reusser, the race director, did comment that it was the most common feedback she received from fans was the ask for more coverage. It's no longer like a niche comment from cycling fanatics. It's the general public wants more coverage. So that's promising for future editions.
Yeah, and she also said that it's, to put it in perspective, men didn't get full coverage of their races until in 2017.
I'm glad she is not hiding this information, because I think the fact that she's sharing it means that now it's on the record. Like, she's on the record, and hopefully that means they'll act on it.
I mean, she's the race director, but she's still beholden to the organization that is ASO and, of course, budgets. So,
all right, Molly, you have to jet, right?
Do have to jet. Thank you all so much for such a wonderful tour. This has been so much fun, and I'm so excited to do it again.
All right, well, we'll finish the discussion here, Molly. We'll see you later. All right, so Rook, should we jump into rider salaries?
Yeah, let's just keep talking money. The rider salaries comes up every year, and the thing is, it should come up throughout the year because that doesn't change, but it comes up a lot during the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift, because people are seeing this peloton that's made up of the biggest stars and also the smaller teams, and they just want to know, like, how do salaries work? How much are people paid? And the biggest development in recent years is that there's now a minimum for women as well as men. That didn't exist for a long time, and there were some awful stories there for a while where riders were riding unpaid. So they're doing the Tour de France Femmes, and they didn't get any salary, which has come a long way. So actually, we've had World Tour minimums for a while now. They've been climbing a lot since 2020. They were below 30,000 euros to now 38,000 euros, which is not a lot of money, to be honest, but it's more than there have been. I mean, back in the day, people were barely able to pay for their own, medical bills or PT, let alone, a comfortable life. And now we're in an era where we're talking about $1 million salaries. So, but yeah, the earnings still vary wildly. As I mentioned, we're talking €1 million to 38,000 euros. So that's a big difference. But luckily, the top riders all earn well above the minimum, which is great. Pro Teams is the second tier, and they got their first ever mandated minimum in 2025. So that's still pretty fresh. It's still low, $22,000, which I don't know, in the US that seems hard to live off of. And then the level below that, Continental Teams, they have no minimum at all. So that's still pretty dire for those riders. Yeah. And that's where you see real financial precarity, with half of those riders making under $10,000 a year, whereas the top 20 World Tour riders earn between 200,000 and 500,000 euros a year. So it really spans and runs the gamut. But I think most people are getting paid at least a stipend or something these days.
We're maybe moving a little away from the days when most of these women had other jobs.
No, I mean, gosh, a lot of not that long ago, Pauline from Bravo, right, in 1 year became a world champion on the road in cyclocross and in mountain biking, and that year she wasn't even on a salary.
Wow.
She had a stipend coming in, and she was supported by their friends as like an athletic track in their police and their military. A lot of Europeans do. Their police or military force has a way to develop athletes, and they give back time. A lot of women like that came into it. There's Christine Majeres is a reserve military person. Elisa Longoborghini is a cop, a police agent, which is kind of cool because they have these athletic programs to help fund athletes. And so luckily we've moved away to where you can be a full-time athlete without having to have a secondary job.
Yeah. It would also help diversify the sport too.
Yeah. All right. Final question. Sponsors. Could women's cycling get some big ones, and could that shape cycling at large? Yes, and it's actively happening. We saw Red Bull sponsoring FDJ this year. Nike has been coming into the sport. Nike sponsors, again, FDJ, but also Visma Lease a Bike. We've been seeing On Running and Adidas, these non-endemic brands coming into the sport, which is very good news for everyone.
Yeah. What kind of brands would you like to see sponsoring teams in the peloton?
Well, let's not do oil and gas companies because that doesn't go over very well.
Yeah. But for example, I would like to see like Lululemon get back in the cycling game because it's just so fashionable. And I would love to see also the riders sporting like their more casual athleisure wear.
And they obviously were a sponsor of women's cycling in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Anything really, like computers and
tech.
Maybe
yeah.
I'm a little wary after what happened with on the crypto. Maybe take it, no bangs or crypto. Something with longevity, something stable,
something tangible.
But along those lines, I'm curious, we've seen this incredible groundswell of interest in and financial support of the women's NBA here in the US. Some big brands, non-endemic brands, have felt that this was, a valuable thing to invest in. And so now I'm speaking in the US, where our cycling culture is not as strong, our appreciation as a whole isn't. Could a sponsorship model change or some new brands help more people get into it here? Cycling in general, but could maybe is women's the one that launches cycling in general, if brands start backing women's cycling in particular?
Yeah. Well, this recommendation is going to it could be controversial, but I do enjoy, and it makes sense to me when beauty brands get in the game. Because first of all, if an athlete wants to wear makeup when they're doing their job, that's completely up to them. But it feels organic. For example, let's say Essie nail polish came to sponsor the Tour de France or a team or something. That makes complete sense because nailed art is part of cycling culture for the women's side, at least. It has become, And one other brand would be fun to see. So for example, riding bikes outdoors and outdoor sports are very harsh on your skin. And I am always shocked at what nice skin do the GC riders have. So, because I say GC riders because we get to see them up close a lot more because of interviews and all that. And Demi Vollering, Kasia Niewiadoma-Phinney, Marlen Reusser all have beautiful skin. And I kind of want to know, do they have any products that they that they use as part of their routine to make sure, because a lot of dirt will get in your pores after 6 hours of riding, etc.
So does it take
sunscreen?
Sunscreen, yes.
How do we never see them reapply? And I'm always curious about that, especially in the men's, that they have longer days, and you're sweating as much. I'm like, how are they not? I would be red like a lobster after one of those stages. I don't know how they do that.
Yeah, I see opportunities.
Yeah, and I'm curious too how many of them will come from individual riders bringing their personal sponsorships, like we have seen with Demi and Nike. And I feel like it's coming. I hope it's coming.
Yeah.
We just need, in the US anyway, the U.S., unfortunately, in cycling has proven that it needs a superstar. It can't just have a star like Sepp Kuss winning the Vuelta once. They need a huge star like Greg LeMond, like Lance Armstrong. They brought so much like attention and eyeballs, but also sponsors to the sport at the time. And unfortunately, that's what it takes. It's a superstar. Like Demi Vollering would have to be American for U.S. audiences and brands to truly pay attention.
And, along those lines, we talked in the very beginning of the tour about Kate Courtney. Certainly she's a superstar to a cycling fan, but not to the greater public. However, she does have non-endemic backing. Like she has been one of the few American cyclists who has harnessed that. So we'll see.
Also, she does have superhero vibes now that I think about it. I don't know. I see it. She has like that posture, like that confidence. Yeah.
I mean, it's funny, right? Being in Europe and going like walking somewhere with Marion Vos or Demi, like people will stop them.
They know who
they are, and like they could probably walk around incognito, and people
100%.
wouldn't bother them, and they're not that big of stars yet. But I don't know. It could be changing.
I think so.
Okay. Let's move on. Do you guys have any standout moments that you'd like to shout out, or any unsung heroes or not sung loud enough heroes that you want to mention?
Well, I mean, Zoe Backstad, how awesome was that effort for her on Col d'Es on the final time? I love seeing that all out, like that grit face. And I know coming into it had really high hopes for the time trial. Those hopes didn't come to fruition, and so still getting some praise for her efforts in that final stage was really nice to see. Also, I think Uno X Mobility in general, they like between the men and the women's tour, they were very visible this year, which is great for a smaller team like that. They need attention. They're always kind of hanging in the balance on whether or not they can make it another year in the World Tour. So seeing them get some stage wins on both men's and women's was great. And then, shout out to Heidi Franz's team. Heidi Franz unfortunately got sick towards the end, wasn't able to finish. But that team went into this year's Saint-Michel Aubert 93, went into this year's tour with their guns blazing, and they really needed to prove themselves there as a French team. They also finished dead last year. So congrats to them, because they did not finish dead last. They had their goal met in terms of being not in the bottom tier, which is good.
No, that's good. Thanks for bringing that up. Betsy, do you have any unsung heroes or standout moments?
Oh, I don't know. Mine are all they're not unsung, I would say. They are some of the bigger. I mean, one of the things we didn't talk about that I just want to maybe briefly call out is just like, the sort of final sportsmanship of it all. There was a little drama, there was a little beef, and I think it ended in a really nice way. And I think that, it kind of piggybacks on every other conversation we've had. Is this too hard? Like, is the level rising? Are the gaps too big between lowest and highest paid riders? At the end of the day, like the level being high and there being such talent and there being veterans, like it makes it better for everyone. I mean, Kasia even said it, like, yes, she was really upset after stage 8, right? She was visibly upset, but practically in the same breath, maybe it was a day later, she's like, Demi was the strongest and Demi makes me a better rider.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Chef kiss. No, that was beautiful.
To that end, I want to just shout out Celia Jarry, because she was, at the forefront of this drama, and it's so great to see women's sports grow into the mainstream. So many people were tuning in. However, the downside of that was the sheer amount of comments she got. So much negativity targeted at this young rider, and straight up death threats, and that just takes it too far. Too far.
Ridiculous.
Like, this is sport.
Yeah.
And
people need to cool it. That's not cool. That's not all right.
Absolutely. Like, it was a controversial moment, but it was still,
my God,
like, very much debatable. Like, it wasn't even malintent there. And even if that were, it was perfectly within the, legality of the sport. To then go to someone's, social media profile or whatever and target them with death threats, like, you're taking this way too far. And I love seeing women's sport become the mainstream, but like, let's cool that behavior.
Yeah, definitely.
Rosael, highlights?
I guess
Unsung
for me,
heroes?
it's hard to pick a standout moment. But I guess if I had a takeaway for myself, I really enjoyed how Demi Vollering just carried herself throughout this tour. I think it was really exemplary, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. And to put it in perspective, she's not my favorite rider, of this peloton right now. I think my favorite would still be somebody like Pauline Ferrand-Prévot or even Kasia Niewiadoma, because I like a little bit more like fun and joy that, I don't know, that comes across in a different style of racing. But yeah, complete respect to Demi Vollering. She's a leader throughout, and whoever is racing against her or with her can learn so much.
It's funny that you say that, because I was thinking about this too, how you can have a people's champion and a champion, and they don't have to be the same person. I mean, my brother, who's not into this at all, but I was with him during it, and so he was seeing me like get really into it, and he texted and was like, "So the Dutchie won, huh?" And I was like, "Whoa, you knew that?" And he's like, "Boring." I was like, "What?" And I was like, yeah, I think a lot of people, didn't feel boring in a Tade type of way, but I was like, you know what, maybe, but she's the best. Like, she is the best. And to me, Kasia also won. Like, she won in a different way. She didn't win the race. And again, as the sport evolves and grows, you get to have more of those main characters. And that's what makes it so rich and really fun for me personally.
I think, the whole peloton won this year. Women's cycling won this year because it was so exciting. So many people tuned in. There was such a mainstream demand for more coverage, more footage. Like, everyone was talking about it, bad or good. Like, there was just so much engagement with the race, and women's cycling won.
We should give the fans of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift an applause, seriously, because they were so great. Like, I mean, what would this be without fandom like that?
And I guess another really special shout out, we have to say, Kate at Zwift. Without you, we wouldn't be entering year 6.
That's true.
And thank you for being there. Thank you for being there and like showing us being there too. Not only, have you led this whole charge and gotten Zwift on board, you're there taking pictures with everyone, having fun. Like, that's the Tour de France Femmes. It is not sterile or staid or boring or corporate. Like, we shouldn't let it be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. And Kate, you're a huge part of that. So thank you.
It's bold, it's loud, it's colorful, it's fun, it's a celebration of cycling. It's and Kate's the ultimate hype woman, the face of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift.
And then that alone attracts so many content creators and high level photographers and all kinds of people that just keep putting their own whimsy into the sport to create its own culture. It's amazing.
Great. Well, I'm going to wrap us up there on that high level note. So that's going to do it for our deep dive of the 2026 Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. It was historic. It was brutal. It was incredibly dramatic. And we loved unpacking it and following it with all y'all.
Yeah, and don't forget to check out Bike Tires Direct. You can still use the discount code QueenStage for your own post-tour upgrades. They're our genuine go-to for finding exactly what you need without the hassle, so show them some love. And another massive thank you to SRAM. We couldn't do this work without their support. We love riding their gear as much as we love talking about it.
If you want to support the Queen Stage podcast, please rate, review, share it with a friend. It's really the best way to support the podcast. Make sure you're subscribed as well so you don't miss any of our upcoming off-season episodes. Until then, thanks so much for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.